My name's Dan, 34 years old, born and raised in Ohio, living just outside Columbus now. Married almost 9 years to Marina. We've got two little boys. Ethan's 5, Lucas just turned 3. On paper, look like the American dream. We bought this big, half-finished house at the edge of town. One of those future forever homes, where you still have drywall dust on your socks, but everyone who visits says, wow. We had 2 SUVs in the driveway, a swing set out back, and a dog that barked too much but made the Christmas cards look wholesome. Both kids blonde, blue-eyed, and loud neighbors. Used to joke we were the all-American family you see in toothpaste commercials. Some even said they envied how perfect we looked. Yeah, perfect. Funny thing is, I actually believed it. For a while, I thought I was doing everything right. I've been working from home for the past few years, running a steady IT support job. Pay isn't glamorous, but it keeps the lights on. 8 hours a day at the desk, then I'm up and in dad mode, helping with homework, giving baths, tucking the boys in, packing lunches when she was too tired. I took care of the yard. I painted the rooms. I unclogged the sink when it got backed up with God knows what, and I didn't complain. That's just what a husband and a dad's supposed to do, right? I honestly thought I was a good husband. I'm not some Wall Street hotshot chasing 6 figures and ignoring my family. I'm not out drinking till 2 a.m. or sneaking off to Vegas. I'm just me, a regular guy. And sure, I'm not Mr. Type A like my father-in-law. I don't jump off the couch every 10 minutes looking for something to fix. I like to sit down after the kids are asleep, watch a movie, maybe play Xbox for a bit. But so what? That's normal, isn't it? I thought it was. We weren't flashy, but we had something real, or at least I thought we did. And you know what? I was proud of it. We'd go to church some Sundays. Marina liked that more than I did, and sit there smiling, holding hands, kids climbing all over us. Even her mom would look over and whisper how lucky Marina was to have a man who helps. So yeah, from the outside, we were the golden couple. The house, the kids, the smiles, the Instagram moments, even our arguments never lasted more than a day. And if you'd asked me 6 months ago how I felt about my marriage, I'd have told you dead serious that I was one of the lucky ones. Turns out, luck runs out. It didn't happen all at once. You never notice the exact moment the air changes in a room. You just wake up one day and realize it's colder than you remembered. At first, it was subtle. She stopped sitting next to me on the couch at night. Nothing dramatic, just sat on the other end, legs tucked under her, scrolling her phone with the screen tilted slightly away. She started going to bed earlier than me, too. "I'm tired," she'd say, already halfway up the stairs while I was cleaning up the kitchen or loading the dishwasher. Then the hugs stopped. That one hit me harder than I expected. I've always been a touch person, even if we were just passing in the hallway. I'd put my hand on her shoulder, kiss the back of her neck while she was making coffee, and she used to smile at that. Then one day she stopped smiling. She started stiffening, like my touch was some kind of inconvenience. And then she started sleeping with the kids in the big bed. At first, she claimed it was because Lucas was having nightmares, which, fair, he's 3. Kids have nightmares. But a week turned into 2, then into months. When I asked, she'd brush it off. "Oh, they sleep better this way. It's just easier." So I moved my pillow to the narrow little fold-out next to the bed. At least that way I could still be in the same room. But even then, she kept to her side. Far left, curled up around the kids. And the phone. God. The phone. She used to leave it on the counter when she went to the bathroom or out in the yard. Suddenly it was glued to her hand, or face down, always face down, and she'd type and smile. I caught myself watching her thumb fly over the screen one night and thought, who the hell is on the other end of that? But then I'd shake it off. I told myself she was tired, that it was winter, seasonal depression, maybe, or just the kids wearing her down. That's what I kept telling myself. Don't overthink it. Women go through phases. She'll come around. But at night, lying there on that hard little fold-out, staring at the ceiling while she curled around the boys on the far side of the bed, I couldn't stop thinking. Couldn't stop hearing that little voice in the back of my head. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. And the more I ignored it, the louder it got. When it finally sunk in that something was wrong, really wrong, I did what I thought any decent husband would do. I got to work. I'm not the kind of guy who throws in the towel just because things get hard. That's not how I was raised. My parents fought plenty, sure, but they always came back to the table, always found a way. That's what marriage is, right? So I started with the obvious. I took more off her plate. I was already helping, but now I doubled down. I started getting up earlier, packing the boys' lunches before she even came downstairs. I'd take them to daycare or preschool on my way to run errands, then work my full day and still have dinner waiting by the time she got home. I learned how to make the lasagna. She liked the one with bechamel and got pretty damn good at it. I kept the kitchen spotless, folded laundry the way she liked, even started wiping down baseboards, for crying out loud. Little things, but I figured they added up. On weekends, I'd take the boys out playground, swim lessons, library just so she could sleep in. Sometimes I'd come home and she'd still be in bed, scrolling her phone. I'd bring her coffee, set it by the nightstand. She'd murmur a thank you, maybe, but she never looked up. I kept going anyway. When that didn't seem to move the needle, I suggested counseling. That was a big one for me. I've never been much for spilling my guts to strangers, but if it helped her talk, if it got her back, hell, I'd do it. She barely reacted when I brought it up, just shrugged. Said, I guess. So I found the therapist, booked the sessions, arranged for babysitters. She just showed up. Sat there stiff, arms crossed while I poured my heart out. Sometimes she'd speak in that flat, detached way about how she felt invisible and overwhelmed. Other times she wouldn't say much at all. I kept waiting for something, anything, a spark of the woman I married, a crack in the ice. It never came. And that's when it started to hurt. Because here I was, busting my ass, bending over backward, and she just looked at me like I was a stranger cleaning her floors. I'd lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, thinking, what the hell else am I supposed to do? I'm cooking, cleaning, running the kids, working full-time, going to therapy, taking care of everything. Isn't this what she wanted? Some nights I even caught myself apologizing for what? I couldn't even tell you. I started second-guessing myself constantly. Did I say something wrong? Was I not affectionate enough? Did I forget some milestone? Was I boring, lazy, too tired, too me? But then I'd look at the boys, or the house, or the calendar full of therapy appointments, and think, no, I'm doing everything I can, more than most would, more than she even asked for, and still nothing. Not a hug, not a smile, not even a thank you worth remembering. It was like pouring myself into a black hole. But hope's a stubborn thing. Even then, even when I'd crawl into that little fold-out bed next to hers and stare at the back of her head across two sleeping kids, I still believed that if I just kept showing up, kept trying, kept loving her hard enough, she'd turn around. She had to, didn't she? It was during our third session. We were sitting on that same bland couch in the therapist's office, beige walls, soft lighting, the faint smell of peppermint tea. I'd come in hopeful that day. I really thought we were making progress. I even cracked a nervous joke when we sat down. She didn't laugh. The therapist, kind woman, calm voice, asked something simple. Marina, can you tell Dan what you're feeling? In your own words? Marina sat there, arms folded, staring at her knees. For a long time, she didn't say anything. Then, without looking at me, she said it. I don't love you. I never did. Just like that. My ears started ringing. I thought I misheard. I actually leaned forward, waiting for her to correct herself. But she kept going. I married you because it seemed like the right thing. My parents loved you. You were stable, safe. Everyone thought you were perfect for me. So I went along with it. She shrugged, still not looking at me. I just liked the idea of marriage, of having kids, of making everyone happy. The words just hung there in the air. The therapist looked at me. God bless her. She actually winced, but I couldn't move, couldn't speak. I just sat there staring at the floor, feeling my hands go numb. 9 years, 2 kids, late nights cleaning, vomit out of crib sheets, building her dream house, working my ass off to keep everything together, and she'd never loved me? Not once? Not even a little? Something inside me cracked right then. And what's funny, I didn't yell, didn't storm out. I just sat there. It was like somebody had cut the power and the lights went out inside me. A part of me, the hopeful part, just shut down. And the rest of me started making plans. After that therapy session, something shifted in me. I started walking through my days on autopilot work, kids, chores, but my mind was somewhere else. I couldn't stop hearing her voice saying, I never loved you. And that's when my buddies started chiming in. It started small. One night after we put the boys to bed, I grabbed a beer with Mike and Ryan, guys I've known since high school. They'd seen me through just about everything. We were sitting out on Mike's back deck when Ryan finally said it. Dan, can I ask you something? I nodded. Have you thought about the possibility that she's seeing someone? I actually laughed. Honest to God, I laughed out loud. What? Marina? No, man. She's not like that. You know her. But Ryan didn't laugh back. Mike just shook his head slowly. Look, he said, we're not trying to start anything, but she's different. You see it too, right? She's checked out, always on that phone, always busy. I brushed it off, waved my hand. She's stressed, I said. It's just the kids, the house, everything. She wouldn't do that. But their faces stayed serious. Ryan leaned forward. I'm just saying, man, maybe you should check, just to be sure. Better to know than keep driving yourself crazy. That night, lying on my little fold-out bed, I kept replaying their words in my head. She's different. Always on that phone. Maybe you should check. I wanted to be angry at them for even suggesting it. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized they weren't telling me anything I didn't already feel deep down. That knot in my stomach every time she smiled at her phone, the way she flinched when I touched her, the late nights at the gym when her hair was done and her lipstick perfect, I couldn't deny it anymore. I didn't sleep much that night. I just lay there in the dark, clenching my fists, caught between fear and rage. Fear because, what if they were right? Rage because, what if they were right? By morning, I'd made up my mind. Fine, I'd check. Not because I believed them, not because I thought she was capable of that, but because if I didn't, it would eat me alive. I just wanted to prove them wrong. At least, that's what I told myself. Next day, I drove to Best Buy on my lunch break. It felt ridiculous at first, standing there in the security aisle, pretending to care about specs on voice recorders. The kid in the blue shirt asked if I needed help, and I almost blurted out, yeah, which one's best for catching a cheating wife? But I just smiled and said, just looking. I picked the smallest one they had. Black, no screen, with a little clip so it could hide under a seat. Paid cash, no receipt in the bag. That night, after she went upstairs to shower, I slipped out to the garage. Sat in the dark, holding the thing in my hand, feeling like some kind of amateur spy. I clipped it under the passenger seat, where the carpet hangs a little loose. Tested it, clicked once, red light blinked, then disappeared. That was it. Then came the waiting. 3 days. 3 long, silent days. Every time she left for the gym or the store, I'd sit at the kitchen table, staring at the clock, imagining what that little device was hearing. My chest tight, palms sweating. Finally, on the 3rd night, I couldn't take it anymore. She came home late, claimed she'd grabbed dinner with a friend, and went straight to bed. I slipped out to the garage, pulled the recorder from its hiding spot, and sat in my car with it in my palm, just holding it, my heart hammering so hard it hurt. I swear my fingers shook as I hit play. And then, her voice, clear as day, laughing. Not the polite little laugh she gave me when I cracked a dumb joke. No, this was different, light, flirty. Stop it, she giggled on the recording. You're terrible. A man's voice answered, muffled but clear enough. You love it, admit it. Then silence, then more laughter. I kept listening. They talked about plans, their plans, a trip in July. She promised she'd make the jump by then, leave me. Told him to give her 2 years to sort everything out and move back to our city. They reminisced about inside jokes I'd never heard of, called each other names I'd never been called. And then it got worse. She told him she was already his, that she couldn't stop thinking about him, that she was counting down the days. She talked about sneaking around with him, about what they'd done already, about what she wanted to do next, things I'd never even heard her say out loud in our own bedroom. And I sat there, alone in my car, gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white, while my own wife's voice poured through that tiny speaker, cheerful, breathless, alive. For an hour, I listened. For an hour, I let her break me, piece by piece. And by the time it stopped, I wasn't broken anymore. I was done. There was no more wondering, no more excuses, no more maybe she's just tired. Just this cold, sharp clarity settling in my chest. And for the first time in months, I felt calm, because now I knew exactly what I was going to do. The next morning, I called a lawyer, didn't even bother telling her, just waited until she left for work, found the best-rated family attorney in town, and sat in his office that afternoon while he skimmed through my notes and listened to the highlights of the recording. He didn't even flinch. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair, adjusted his tie, and said, "You've got more than enough. Keep your cool, don't do anything stupid, and let me handle the rest." Sounded good to me. He told me to gather everything the recordings, screenshots of her calls and texts, anything showing her intent to leave and replace me. Keep it organized, clean, admissible. Judges love clean, he said. So that's what I did. That whole week, while she played house and kept texting him behind my back, I was quietly putting my case together. The lawyer recommended filing first said it had set the tone, make it clear I wasn't the one who walked away, and protect my rights with the kids. He reminded me a dozen times. Don't blow up in front of her. Don't slam doors. Don't make it ugly. And I didn't. I signed the papers in his office on a Thursday. He said he'd serve her right after Easter, give her the weekend to process. All business. Then came the part I dreaded more, talking to her parents. I drove over the next evening, alone, after she'd gone to bed. They answered the door smiling, confused to see me without her. We sat at their kitchen table, same table where we'd eaten Sunday dinners for years, and I told them everything. I played them part of the recording. I showed them the screenshots. Her dad just stared at the wall. Her mom started crying. At first, they were on my side. "Dan, we're so sorry. You didn't deserve this. You've been a wonderful husband and father. We don't know what's gotten into her." I thought maybe that would be it. But then her mom said it. "You know, marriages can survive things like this. Maybe she just made a mistake. You have children. You should think about the boys." Her dad nodded, though he couldn't even look me in the eye. And I just sat there, listening to them try to package my pain into a rough patch we could sweep under the rug. I smiled, a thin, tight smile. "Sure," I said. "I'll think about it." And I left. But let me tell you, there wasn't a damn thing left to think about. It didn't take long for her to figure out what was happening. The day the papers were delivered, she came home, slammed the door so hard it rattled the pictures on the wall, and stormed into the kitchen where I was sitting with a cup of coffee. At first, she denied everything. "What is this? Are you serious? You're overreacting. Nothing happened." I didn't even bother looking up from my mug. Just slid the USB drive across the counter. She froze. Her eyes flicked down to it, then back at me. And that's when the waterworks started. Tears, sobs, hands covering her face. "Dan, please don't do this. It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to go this far. We can fix this. I'll do anything." I stayed in my chair. She kept crying, dropping to her knees like we were in some bad soap opera. It was almost impressive, the performance. And then her family joined the act. Her mom started texting me scripture verses about forgiveness, links to blog posts about healing after infidelity, pictures of crosses and clasped hands with captions like "God gives second chances." Her sister called me one night and flat out said I was selfish, that I was throwing away a perfectly good family because my pride was hurt. And me? I just watched the whole circus play out like I was sitting in the cheap seats at a bad play. There was a time when her tears would have broken me, when her mom's words would have stung, when I might have actually believed her sister. But that time was long gone. Now all I felt was this cold, quiet clarity. This wasn't my family anymore. This wasn't my problem to fix anymore. I'd made my decision, and watching them all scramble to guilt me back into line only reminded me why it was the right one. So I let her cry, let her beg, let her mom pray, and her sister accuse. And when they finally quieted down, I stood up, put my keys in my pocket, and walked out of the room. Because what none of them seemed to realize was, I was already gone. About a week after I filed, I got a text from one of our mutual friends. "Dude, you're not going to believe this." Turns out, Mr. Wonderful, the guy she was ready to burn her family down for, had his own little surprise. He was married, with kids, in Brussels. The whole time she was sneaking around, whispering promises to him, planning her big new life, he was just playing along, keeping it quiet so his wife wouldn't find out. And now that I'd filed and the whole mess was out in the open, he vanished, stopped answering her calls, left her on red, didn't even have the guts to pick up the phone when she tried over and over one night while I sat in the living room and listened to her sobbing in the bedroom. When she finally realized he wasn't coming back, she came to me, red-eyed, shaking, clutching the hem of her sweater like it was holding her together. I see everything now," she stammered. "I was wrong, so wrong. We can fix this. I'll do whatever it takes. Please, Please don't do this to us. She even said, and I swear this is word for word, I should have known he was lying. You were always the better man. I just looked at her, and for the first time in months, maybe years, I laughed. Not a big, happy laugh. Just a dry, bitter chuckle that surprised even me. Too late, I said. She flinched like I'd slapped her, and it hit me right then how far she'd fallen. The confident, calculating woman who thought she had it all figured out was now standing in front of me begging because the man she'd gambled everything on turned out to be a fraud. I didn't feel sorry for her, not even a little. If anything, it felt like justice. Poetic, in a dark kind of way. I just shook my head, turned back to my coffee, and muttered more to myself than to her. You made your choice. Live with it. And I meant it. These days, life is quieter. I moved out about a month ago, and now I'm staying with my folks for a while, crashing on their old pull-out couch in the living room, my work laptop balanced between stacks of folded laundry and half-finished puzzles my mom refuses to put away. I still put in my 8 hours a day, same job, same grind, and then help my parents with errands, groceries, doctor appointments. They're older now, and honestly, keeping busy helps. Keeps my hands moving so my head doesn't wander too far. I see my boys every weekend, pick them up Friday night, take them back Sunday evening. Sometimes we go to the park, sometimes just sit in the living room with pizza and cartoons. Those two little faces, they still light up when they see me. Still call me dad like it's the most natural thing in the world. It hurts, not tucking them in every night, not being there when they wake up scared in the middle of the night. But I tell myself this better, they have half of me than watch me rot in that house, pretending everything's okay. Because I don't regret leaving. Not for a second. Better alone than living in that nightmare. People keep asking what's next. Truth is, I don't know yet. Maybe I'll find my own place soon. Maybe I'll keep my weekends sacred for my boys and just figure the rest out as I go. But one thing I do know, I'm never going back to her. That chapter is closed. That house is just a building now. Those memories, just old photographs. And her, she's just somebody I used to know. So yeah, it's not easy, but it's mine now. That door is closed. Now, I'm walking forward, and I'm not looking back.